And welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Spring, summer, fall, even winter, it's always time for a great deal. Madisonville Marine, including both new and used boats. And in typical Madisonville Marine fashion, those used boats, like the one Bob Hodge bought, they come with a warranty. You're not going to find that from a lot of boat dealers. Madisonville Marine. All right, want to welcome the next member of our panel. That would be former Vol Daniel Hood. Daniel, glad to have you with us today. Want to start with Daniel and Will, my defenders over here. What's the bigger issue moving forward? You're quarter of the way through the season, which is hard to believe. Is it the fact that Kurt Maggitt, your leader, is going to be out for 6 to 10 weeks, according to Butch Jones? Or is it the fact that we were talking about why Tennessee doesn't have more linebackers prepared at this point? 10 of the 12 linebackers on their roster are freshmen or sophomores. What's the bigger issue moving forward, Maggitt's absence or linebacker youth depth?
I think I'm going to start with Kurt Maggitt. I think you look at the last 6 quarters that have been played with Maggitt out of it, you know, Tennessee's averaging giving up over 5 yards a carry. And so you look at that and how it equates to winning, and you're not going to be able to win very many football games against Georgia, against Alabama, against Florida, not being able to stop the run.
Will?
I think Maggitt, just because you lose this much in the pass rush. I mean, I watched the second string defensive line last week or yesterday trying to pass rush. We were not getting much pressure on Western Carolina. I mean, you look at Florida game last night against Kentucky. Kentucky got great pass rush. That's why they kept that game down. If you can't get that type of pass rush, who are you going to beat? In this league, it's pass-happy league. It's gone away from the pounding run. It's a lot more pass. You lose Maggitt's production. Now people know Barnett's your only other guy that can get back to the quarterback.
Well, you're looking at young guys across the front of that defense. I mean, it's freshmen and sophomore. And I know people are tired of hearing that. I understand that. I heard somebody today, I think it was on your show, it had to be, somebody called in and said, well, we know everybody's young. No, not as young as Tennessee, and that's why they keep putting it on ESPN or whoever's broadcasting the game. You see it every week. They are ridiculously young, and they have been the last 2 years. All right, Jimmy and Jacob, what is the bigger issue, the offensive line or the wide receivers?
Offensive lineman. All right. I'm an offensive lineman, and I don't know what y'all expected me to say, but I'm putting this on the O-line. It's a responsibility thing. Every great team has a great offensive line, and the receivers and running back help, but it all starts up front. So until we can solidly and consistently dominate opponents on the line of scrimmage, we'll struggle this year.
Okay, Jimmy?
I graded on the curve on this one. I'm going to go receivers. I expect more out of the receivers than the offensive line. I didn't think the offensive line would be appreciably better than last year. Better. But I just don't think the receivers are getting it done. It's a talented group. It's supposed to be a talented group. Where's Marquez North? Pig Howard, I know he missed the first game, but what's he? Von Pearson, where are those guys? They're not showing up like they should. Preston Williams shouldn't be your best receiver right now. He missed pretty much all of camp.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to go receivers.
There's a chance next week that your starting receivers could be Juwan Jennings and Preston Williams, a guy who converted in the middle of August and a freshman, which doesn't say much for those other guys, who couldn't get, again, you're just not seeing separation against Western Carolina defensive backs. And also, we talk about youth. There are 2 areas on a football team where you should be able to step right in, and it's easier. Running back, receiver. And that's where youth isn't really a guard for it. Let me ask you this, Jacob, very quickly.
Yep.
Do you think they shuffled the offensive line too much? Would they have been better off, in your opinion, keeping more of those guys in the positions they played last year, putting them back out there because they had developed chemistry? Or do you think it was right for them to make as many tweaks as they did? And you might see more coming forward.
I think it was okay to make tweaks just based on our schedule. The first couple games, Oklahoma's not a conference game. You have those games to get chemistry and to get the guys in the right positions you think that are the best players. So by putting a Coleman Thomas at center, by putting Wiseman at guard, by putting Brett Kendrick at guard or tackle, you get those guys in the best positions for their body types and their skill sets, as well as you get a lot of other guys some reps that you normally wouldn't.
Very good. Jacob Gillum, of course, an offensive lineman last year, played on a busted ACL. You're going to hear that for the rest of your life. You got to put that should be your license plate, torn ACL. All right.
I'll work on that.
Let me put you something up here. I reassessed Tennessee's schedule, in my opinion. How you like me now? You guys tell me if I'm right or wrong. I see a number of toss-ups. Florida, I can see that going either way. Arkansas lost again yesterday. I can see that going either way. If Georgia plays the way they did yesterday, I think that's a loss. I don't care that Alabama lost to Ole Miss. I think that's a loss at Alabama. At Kentucky, I could see them winning. South Carolina is terrible, but it's Steve Spurrier. I could see that as a win or a loss. North Texas should be a win. Vandy should be a win. Until you beat Missouri, that's a toss-up, and it's a road game. Agree or disagree? Am I way off on that?
I think Kentucky and Carolina are wins. Personally, I don't think there's much toss-ups. Especially,
Okay.
actually, I think Kentucky's more difficult than South Carolina at this point.
Well, I agree with that.
But the rest, I can't say because I definitely agree on Missouri. As much as you may say, yeah, we ought to be able to beat them, you haven't yet. So until you do, I can't really go with that as being a win.
Anybody have any big issues with what was up there?
Not big, but I kind of switched on Kentucky, South Carolina. I thought Kentucky was a win and South Carolina was toss-up. I almost see Kentucky more of the toss-up and South Carolina as a win based on the way South Carolina's playing right now.
I would say South Carolina's a win too, based on how they're playing, based on everything but Steve Spurrier has lost to you 2 in a row. I just put that as a toss. All right, when we came back, we're going to look at who deserves fame and blame from yesterday, but mainly, instead of fame and blame, we'll talk about new names, something else that rhymes. Come on back on the Sports Source.
From East Tennessee to the Carolinas, no job is too big for Benedict Construction. Patios and decks, custom remodels, even custom homes. With a reputation for excellence, rely on the custom work of Benedict Construction.